What's up, Facebook? Happy Tuesday. How's everybody doing today? Hope you guys are hanging in or the best that you can. I know it seems to vary uh, every single day. One day it's okay, and the next day it's kind of blah. But overall, I hope that you guys are hanging in there. We'll wait for a few more people to join on so we can get started for today. Everybody excited for the spring weather that we've been starting to have? I know I am. It's been really nice just, not dealing with snow, driving in snow, walking in snow, cleaning the snow off my car, you know. It's been really nice not doing any of those things. Although I am a little bummed I really didn't get out snowboarding as much as I wanted to this year, but that's okay. Corona kind of put that to a quick halt, but it's all right. It's always next winter. But I think spring is probably one of my favorite seasons, so I'm definitely excited that we are headed into that time of the year. It's nice to start seeing some little flowers pop up here and there, and the buds on the trees are starting to pop up. I don't know, I was kind of thinking about it earlier. I think it's pretty interesting, given the time of year and everything happening right now. Spring is a sign of, rebirth, and I personally don't believe there are any coincidences. I believe that things happen for a reason, and to each their own with that thought process. But the timing of everything is just kind of ironic, and I think that this is a time for rebirth for us as well. As we talk about quite frequently, this is a time that we're all being forced to slow down and really look at who we are, what's important to us, our values, and really put some time and some love into ourselves, and to grow through all of this pain right now, and to just blossom into something new and beautiful. And I always continue to encourage you guys to ask yourselves, who do you want to be when you come out of this? We don't have to sit here and just think of this as, oh, this is just a waste of time. That was a waste of a few months of my life. Well, time is the only thing that we never get more of, ever. So make the most use of your time, and I guess that's how I choose to see it. So I guess I just love the timing of spring, and that whole idea of rebirth, and as far as for ourselves too, I think is pretty cool if you choose to see it that way. But we'll kind of get started. Welcome, glad you guys are here. Alicia's on here. Lisa, hey guys, how are you? So I encourage you guys to join in on the comments here. That's always my favorite part, is interacting with you guys through the comments and reading what you have to say. It kind of usually sparks our discussions, and lets them go a little bit farther than me just reading and talking at you guys. And there are honestly moments where I do feel a little bit stuck doing these readings. Sometimes I do feel like I sound redundant and kind of jump on the same topics. They sound a little bit differently, but it's something I do struggle with, and but that's where I encourage you guys to chime in, and even continue to message us at Rock Covery too if you guys are enjoying the videos, what you want to see more of, what you want to see less of. We would love to hear your feedback too. This is for you guys, and this is our way to connect with you, and I want to make sure that the way I'm connecting with you guys is keeping it as fresh as possible, keeping it positive. And as always, I ask you guys to remain honest and open and vulnerable and respectful on here. We've been having some really great conversations. I've loved seeing all the new people that have joined in, and it's just really cool to watch all the conversations start to unfold. So we'll get started today. So I've been reading to you guys out of the book called Tribe of Mentors by Timothy Ferriss. Some of you may recognize him as the best-selling author of The 4-Hour Workweek. And I usually give you guys just a little bit of a backstory too, so you know what the book is about a little bit. So the author, Tim Ferriss, in 2017, he said it was kind of an unusual year for himself. He had just turned 40, and different things were happening at that point in his life. And he was kind of hitting that wall, as I think so many people do throughout different stages of their lives. But, all these different things were going on. And he said all of these questions started to bubble to the surface for him. Some of his questions were my goals my own? Or simply what I thought I should want? How much of life had I missed from underplanning or overplanning? How could I be kinder to myself? How could I better say no to the noise to better say yes to the adventures I craved? How could I best reassess my life, my priorities, my view of the world, my place in the world, and my trajectory through the world? So many things, all the things. So one morning, Tim wrote down all these questions that he was really struggling with, just laid them all out on paper. And he said he felt this wave of anxiety, and how overwhelming it was to see all these questions written before him. So he did something. He said he wrote down the one question that helps answer many other questions. And the question was, what would this look like if it were easy? And I think that is kind of an interesting question. You know, you start to look at your own life and analyze certain situations or past situations that you've gone through, tragedies you've gone through, challenges you've gone through, and you ask that, what would it look like if it were easy? Even today, all of our struggles we're going through right now, what would it look like if it were easy? You know? We don't necessarily grow through the easy times. But, so anyways, so he had written down all these questions and really just starting to analyze that. And Tim came up with the idea that, let me see. So Tim came up with the idea that, you know, he said, well, what if I assembled a tribe of mentors to help me? More specifically, what if I asked 100 plus brilliant people the very questions I wanted to answer for myself, or somehow get them to guide me in the right direction? So Tim did just that. He sent an identical set of 11 questions to some of the most successful, wildly varied, and well-known people on the planet. And he asked them to answer 3 to 5 questions or more if it moved them. So he waited a while and eventually started getting all these answers back in. You know, and at first he said he expected that he would get these short, rushed responses from a few of them at best. But he says, what I got back instead were some of the most thoughtful answers I'd ever received, whether on paper, in person, or otherwise. In the end, there were more than 100 responses. So what I've been doing with you guys is kind of going through that set of 11 questions, picking one of those questions, talking about what it means to me, and then I've also picked, in the beginning of this book, it has that whole list of 100 plus well-known, brilliant people. So I kind of have gone through and skimmed through some of their answers, and I pick out the ones that kind of stand out the most to me and kind of lead our discussion that way. So yeah, I will post the question in the chat, but I think I'm going to reword this one a little bit today. So the original question is, where are we? So this is number 8, and I've been kind of jumping around a little bit. So number 8 question, what advice would you give to a smart, driven college student about to enter the real world? What advice should they ignore? So I'm actually thinking I'm going to change this too. See what you guys think. Give me a second here. Hey, Kate. All right, so this is the question for today. I've kind of revamped it a little bit, shortened it, made it a little bit more simple. So again, the original question was, what advice would you give to a smart, driven college student about to enter the real world? And if some of you want to answer that too, go for it. And then what advice should they ignore? So my question for you guys, I'm curious to actually see your responses. What advice would you give to your younger self? And that younger self can really be any age that you can think of. I guess I would suggest putting it at the younger self, at the age when things, you know, maybe were a little bit easier. You know, I think as adults, you know, we get kind of jaded as we go along through life, and situations start to happen and we start to go through more and more struggles. So maybe think back to a time when life was a little bit easier and there wasn't as much chaos, there wasn't as much drama. You know, for those of you who are in recovery, you know, can you think back to your younger self before you started, you know, using drugs or alcohol or any other addictions that you've struggled with? Can you think back to a younger time, and what advice would you give yourself? What advice should that younger self ignore? So I'm curious what you guys have to say for that. Jake's back on here. How's it going, Jake? Glad you're back. So I picked out two different answers today from the book. The first answer is from Mike Maples Jr. Just to give you a quick background on him, he's a partner at Floodgate, which is a venture capital firm that specializes in microcap investments in startups. He has been on the Forbes Midas list since 2010 and named one of Fortune magazine's 8 rising stars. So Mike's answer to this question, and I'm always going to read the original question on here, but you guys can tweak that any way you want. I really encourage you guys to be completely open-minded and bring all your answers to the table. I'd love to read them and share with everybody on here. So Mike's answer was, what advice would you give to a smart, driven college student about to enter the real world? And Mike says, life will go faster than you know. It will be tempting to live a life that impresses others, but this is the wrong path. The right path is to know that life is short, every day is a gift, and you have certain gifts. Happiness is about understanding that the gift of life should be honored every day by offering your gifts to the world. Don't let yourself define what matters by the dogma of other people's thoughts. And even more important, don't let the thoughts of self-doubt and chattering self-criticism in your own mind slow you down. You will likely be your own worst critic. Be kind to yourself in your own mind. Let your mind show you the same kindness that you aspire to show others. So it was definitely a long-winded response of advice, but so much of that really just stood out to me. Especially that first line, life will go faster than you know. And people always say, the older you get, the faster it goes. And while I am not old by any means, getting older in my own short 29 years, even over the past couple of years, the more calendar years I gain, I do realize how quickly life goes. It does go by so much faster. It's just so insane. And, I think in a world of today, not like COVID today, but in general, in life today, so many of us are just so busy and on the go all the time. We talk about that quite frequently. But I feel like it's so different when you're a kid. When you're a kid, you don't care about the time. You're not really aware of the time. You're not looking at it all every single day. And, you just have this different mindset. And when you're a kid, you're kind of carefree and you're just for them, and not everybody has the same childhood by any means. But, for the most part, kids are just trying to be kids and they want to go be with their friends and they want to play and they want to go to school and, whatever that looks like to people, that's, there's this kind of fearless mindset of that. There is no worries and stresses about the real world and bills and all the fun things that get to go on in adult life, but it's so true. It goes faster and faster over time. It's just crazy. And I also love that Mike says it will be tempting to live a life that impresses others. And, it's funny, a few of us at Rock Recovery have been able to go speak at some schools in the past, and I always kind of start that out when I'm speaking to the kids because, as all humans, we naturally crave connection. We naturally want to be a part of, right? Like we don't want to be left out. We don't want to be on the outside of things. We want to be on the inside of things, and we want to fit in, and we want people to like us. And I think that's very natural, for it to be wired within us. But when it crosses that line of trying to live this whole life that impresses others, that's when it can kind of get detrimental. It's like, who are you really living your life for? I think about it in terms of, in a world of social media today, whether it's, these young students we go speak to or us as adults, how much, and I'm guilty of this too in my past, how much do I post on social media that I want people to look at my life and see how great my life is and post pictures of this great thing and that great thing and this great relationship and this great car and this thing, it's all stuff we post on social media. And, it's like that only gives people a glimpse into what a little bit of our lives look like, and I think oftentimes if all we're doing is putting our energy into impressing others, are we putting our energy into the wrong places? Where are motives in that? In my little world today, I don't want to live my life anymore to impress other people. Does it come up at certain times? Sure. That's natural, but I don't want to spend all my time and all my investments and all my money, and I don't want to do it just for other people. I want to do it for me. I want to be able to feel fulfilled and find joy and find happiness, and I don't want to do it just to please other people. So Mike's got some really great answers in his response here. And Mike also said, happiness is about understanding that the gift of life should be honored every day by offering your gifts to the world. Think about that. What gifts do you have that you could offer the world? Think about it for a moment. It's going to be one of my challenges for you guys today. Think about what gifts you can offer the world. And some of you might be sitting there saying, "Well, I don't have any gifts. I'm not good at anything. I'm not working right now. I'm staying in quarantine. How can I possibly give gifts to the world?" Some of us might have that negative self-image and that negative self-talk. And maybe you're wondering how you could possibly give a gift to anybody, let alone yourself, And I get that. I've definitely been in that mindset before. And I can't answer that for you. I don't know what your gifts are. I know what mine are. And I only know what they are because, I've spent time investing in myself. I've taken chances, trial and error. I've tried new things, even if they were uncomfortable. Because how am I ever going to know if I have a gift or a talent or a love or a passion for something if I don't try it? If it's something I've never done, how could I possibly know whether it's a gift or not? And that gift can also be something very internal. The gift of kindness, the gift of literally holding open the door for another human being. That's a gift of kindness to them that you might not recognize, that people might just take for granted on a daily basis, And can you hold that door open for that person and just do it out of the kindness of your own heart, not to get a response or not to get mad when they don't say thank you, So it's just little things like that, So I'm going to move on to the next one here because I want to leave you guys some time to read some of these. So again, for those of you just joining on here, I kind of tweaked today's question a little bit. The original question is, what advice would you give to a smart-driven college student about to enter the real world? And what advice should they ignore? And again, you guys can answer that, but I also kind of tweaked it. You'll see up above in the chat here. What advice would you give to your younger self? I would love to hear it. That's always one of my favorite questions when I do hear it, but I just wanted to get through a couple of these. So again, that younger self can really be at any age. I encouraged you guys to think of before an age where life started getting messy and chaotic and difficult. And maybe that has always been your life, and that's totally okay too. So any age of your younger self, what advice would you give to them? So the second response I wanted to read, and it's funny, I've actually flipped to this individual 3 different times in this book already doing these readings. So this is Soman Chainani, is a filmmaker and a New York Times best-selling author. So their answer to the question was, and again, they chose the original question of what advice would you give to a smart-driven college student about to enter the real world. Make sure you have something every day you're looking forward to. Maybe it's your job, maybe it's a basketball game after work, or a voice lesson, or your writing group. Maybe it's a date. But have something every day that lights you up. It'll keep your soul hungry to create more of these moments. And I was like, there's no way I can't not read that one today. That one just truly spoke to me. And, I really wanted to encourage you guys today. Because, we're all weeks into this thing right now. And, I think there are some days for all of us that we do really well, and some days we don't do so well. And that's okay. We can't be happy and joyful every single second of every single minute of every single day. It's just not realistic, So it's okay those days where maybe we don't feel so on point. But I think more so for a lot of us lately, it is this Groundhog Day, this repetitive stuck in this, staying at home, working from home. We're all readjusting and creating this new life. And, I've been talking to quite a lot of people and reaching out, and I just encounter so many people who are feeling so discouraged right now, and who maybe are viewing this time that we've been given right now as a waste of time. And I want to encourage you guys, as I always do, to have that perspective shift, right? How can you look at this time differently? How can you use this time wisely? How can you use this time to grow? I'll ask you again, who do you want to be when this thing, I don't want to say when it ends, but when we return to some normalcy of life, however long that may be, I don't know. But when we come out of this thing, who do you want to be? Do you want to look back and see that you've wasted 6 months or a year of just, staying home and being miserable, that's an option too. But I want to encourage you guys to just get up and make something of this time, really, really work on yourselves. And we can't do that every day. Some days it's really draining. I felt really drained yesterday afternoon after lots of Zoom meetings and just all the technology and all the phones, and I was just not feeling it. And this morning I was also not feeling it. So I get it. It is easier said than done. But I really want to encourage you guys, even in this time that we are in right now, I'm going to read this line again. Have something every day that lights you up. It'll keep your soul hungry to create more of these moments. Don't let this time go to waste. We don't have to. We are being given a gift of slowing down right now and really giving an opportunity to reinvent who we are. Reinvent yourself. What do you want that to look like? And, if all you want to do is just maintain right now, that's perfectly okay too. I just know for me that I don't want to slip going backwards. I don't want to go back to, what happened after that younger self. I love that idea of still have something planned every single day that you look forward to. Plan something in your day that lights you up. And it does not have to be this big extravagant thing. It can be, if you do have access, well, obviously if you're on here you do, but if people do have, access to phones and internet and Zoom or any of these virtual platforms right now, like can you set a Zoom call up with your family members or your significant other or one of your friends? Can that be the highlight of your day? Can that be something you look forward to? Even it says, even maybe it's a date, maybe you want to set up a Zoom date or a Skype date with somebody on here. You can still have dinner together. It can just be little things. Are you at home with your kids right now? Can you plan an activity with them for later in the day? Or can you plan a movie night? Can you still find something in every single day that lights you up? What do you guys like to do? What lights you up? I'm curious. So those are just a couple of the readings I picked today, and I do want to jump back in here and start reading some of your guys' comments. So my question I posed to you guys was, what advice would you give to your younger self? And that first answer that we did about life moving too fast, I think that's one of the one of the many advice I would give to my younger self is to really enjoy that time and not wish it away. I think it's very natural as kids at a young age, like, I can't wait till I'm a teenager. I can't wait till I'm 18. I can't wait to move out of this house and go off to school here, or, go backpacking across the country, or I can't wait till I'm 21. I can't wait till, there's always this looking for something further, right? And I think as adults we do that. It's like, once I get this new job, once we move here, once we get this house, once this thing lines up, once I win the lottery, How many of us are guilty of doing that? I know I am. But, I guess my advice to my younger self would be to just slow down and be in the moment more. Enjoy it. Like I said, time is the one thing that we do not get more of. So I'm going to jump into some of your comments here. Thank you guys for letting me rattle on. Erica's on here. Hey, Erica. So Lisa says, I'd say, hey, younger self, you're not going to learn anything if you're waiting to speak and speaking all the time. Listen openly. That's where the learning happens. And we both know you dig learning. Plus, people will like you more, and more importantly, you'll like yourself better, too. I love that. That's a good one. You're not going to learn anything if you're waiting to speak and speaking all the time. Absolutely. I'm also so guilty of that. I think most of us are. I think, like, listening is a true skill. I listened to a whole podcast one day on all these different tips and tricks for how to become an active listener and a better listener. And, one of them is not focusing on, being ready to jump in to speak. If someone else is talking, how can I be fully listening to them if all I'm focusing on in my mind is when can I jump in to speak and, focusing on what I'm going to say next instead of really just listening to that person. I love that. It's such a great reminder. Jake says, I could definitely write a book to myself. Haha. Same. I tell myself the need for self-love, to set boundaries with people and with myself. I have the tendency of being a people pleaser at the expense of my own self-love and self-respect. Absolutely. Yeah, I'm with you. I could definitely write a whole book of advice to my younger self. Part of me doesn't know if I'd actually send it because I wouldn't be who I am today if I never went through any of those experiences, right? But it is kind of cool for us to look back and see how see how loving and compassionate we can be today towards our younger selves, when maybe back then we weren't as loving and as caring and as respectful to ourselves or others around us, So it's funny to kind of look back as adults to how we would treat, those younger versions of ourselves. I think it does help us practice a little bit of self-love. And Jake, I think a lot of people can relate to that, trying to be a people pleaser at the expense of ourselves. Absolutely. So I think, self-love is something I've been trying to work on lately, and I've been hearing it so much. I think we're all learning how to do self-care and self-love during this time. It's just another one of those gifts that we've been given. We've been given the time to slow down and learn how to fully care for ourselves. So I hope that you guys are able to start taking advantage of some of this time and really be kind to yourself, be gentle with yourself. So Jake, thank you for pointing that out. That is a really good reminder. The need for self-love. Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. Nikki says, Jake, I love that. Absolutely. Self-love starts the ripple effect for so many great things. I would tell my younger self, you don't ever have to go through life alone. You deserve good people in your life. I love that. I'm just so amazed at the way you guys have been opening up here on these videos lately. These are for you. This is our way of, as Rock Covery as a whole is connecting with you guys, and just keeping that going. But like I've shared before, like this also opens up my eyes to so many things. I mean, you guys are, I'm just on here sharing my own, I'm sharing my own thoughts and my own opinions, and then sharing pieces out of books and just leading this discussion. But, this isn't about me. This is about you guys. And I really appreciate all of you being vulnerable and outrageously open, and just really letting people and each other in to see this part of your lives. Sometimes I think we feel like we have to hide that, but we don't. It's so great to see you guys connecting. And Nikki, you're so right. Self-love really does start this ripple effect. It's like once we're able to start practicing those healthy behaviors, self-love, self-care, then that ripple effect starts to happen, right? And it goes out to all the other people. If I can be gentle and loving and kind and tolerant of myself, then I can easily do that for other people, But if I have a day where I'm feeling really off, if I'm feeling really irritable, if I'm frustrated, if nothing is going right, and one thing after the other just seems to pile up, which is, we all have those moments. We don't have to let it throw off our entire day. We don't have to have a bad day, perhaps. We can change that. Forgot where I was going with that, but if even if we have those moments, of extreme irritability and anger and frustration, negative emotions, that stuff can have a ripple effect too. And it's really important for us to be aware of that. So if I'm angry and frustrated and, not aware of it and not doing what I can to take a step back, pause, practice some self-care, those negative emotions are going to ripple out to other people. I'm going to start snapping at other people. I'm going to start being short and punchy with other people. And, that's not how I want to be treated, so it's not how I want to treat other people too. So yeah, that's also a really good reminder. Definitely the ripple effect. Alicia says, the advice I'd give my younger self would be to start noticing what makes you feel good about yourself as a person. Spend time learning to love yourself. Always be open and honest with yourself. Don't let others' opinions control what you do and feel. Realize that you will always have you before anything. Also great advice. I'm definitely starting to see the theme from all you guys about some form of self-love, right? And that self-love, can look different. There are many different forms of self-love and compassion and being gentle to ourselves. Absolutely. So you guys are hitting on all these. This is just so great. And I think that's important too. Alicia pointed out, to start noticing what makes you feel good about yourself as a person. Right? What do I like about me? It's easy when other people, we have in our lives, other people that love us, tell us the good things about us all the time. So, I can easily hear if other people give me words of affirmation, which is important, that fills me up a little bit. But what do I like about me? what do you like about you? That's a really great practice of self-awareness. I always encourage you guys to check in with yourselves, and that can be another form of checking in. Making lists. What are some of the good qualities that you like about yourself? What makes you feel good? Some really good reminders on here. Always be open and honest with yourself. That's another good piece in there too. I don't know about you guys, but there were times in my life when I was not open and honest with myself, where I tried to, keep this mask up, tried to be someone I'm not, tried to impress other people, right? We talked about that earlier. For a long time, I lived my life in a way of impressing other people. And I wasn't being open and honest with myself. There were times where I would get myself into these dangerous situations and just tell myself that it was okay to be there, but I wasn't really open and honest with myself. If I was uncomfortable with something, I never voiced that to myself. I just let it slide. All good things. Nellie's on here. Hi, Nellie. So yeah, you guys have really posted some great stuff on here today. I really appreciate, again, the open and honesty, not only to yourselves, but to others on here. I like to see when you guys connect with each other too. It's really cool to watch. So we're just about, well, we are at our time today, but I thank you guys so much for joining in today. You've really made it a great discussion, and you guys helped me quite a bit too, because like I said, there are moments where I feel like, I don't know what to share, and maybe I'm not reaching as many people anymore, but then you guys jump on here and you just, you bear it all, and it's just been so amazing and so helpful in so many ways. So thank you guys for showing up. As you'll see, I did post up top a phone number that we have. So if you guys are looking for peer mentor services at Rockcovery, we are still providing those. So the phone number is on there. It's 585-622-4975. You guys can also Facebook message us. I also posted the email on there too. So if you yourself, or maybe you have family or friends or just somebody who's really struggling right now and could benefit from peer services, please don't hesitate to reach out. We are here for you guys. I am also one of the outreach and engagement specialists, so please get a hold of us, and we will hook you up with one of the great peers that we have. And we're here for you guys. Someone else said it down below, but constantly just remembering that you don't have to do this alone. And even now during these times, we're still here to connect with you guys. So please don't hesitate to reach out. And please check out our weekly schedule, our Facebook Live schedule too. You can view that on the Rockcovery Fitness Facebook page. On there, it's got all the days and the times of all these virtual videos that we're all doing. And I really encourage you guys to check out some of the other videos on here. I know there's a few of you who watch almost all of our videos, and that's so amazing. We love seeing you guys pop up on here, and it is really cool seeing everybody's names pop up and who's joining in on the videos. I know I've enjoyed that. So I really encourage you guys to check out some of the other great videos that we have. There's all sorts of great content by some amazing Rockcovery people. So I hope that you guys are able to check them out too. I believe we've got another workout coming up at 3 o'clock today to get you up and get you moving a little bit. Also very important during these times is remaining active any way you can. And I'm not telling you to go run a marathon, but get outside and walk. It's good for us. It's good for you. I did it today. It was beautiful out. So anyways, that's coming up at 3 o'clock. And I believe we've got Yana coming on later this evening to give you guys some words of encouragement. We've got daily meditations on here. We've got another book reading with Kirsten. There is some cool weekend stuff too. We've got a new writing class that's on Sunday. So please check out our schedule. And I hope you guys can continue to tune in. And we will be back here tomorrow at 2 o'clock. So I hope to see you guys there. And hope you guys have an awesome day. Thank you guys for joining in and sharing today. I truly appreciate it. Appreciate you. Have an awesome day, guys. Bye.